Today, we're going to talk about a very controversial topic that's having a conversation right now all over the United States and other parts of the world. And maybe you don't know that your city or your country does it. But today we're going to talk about fluoride in tap water. How did it start? Why do some countries embrace it while others reject it? And what are the benefits and risks? I'm Mikael, and this is what I learned today. Let's start with the history. The story begins in the early 1900s when a dentist in Colorado, Dr. Frederick McKay, discovered something unusual. People in his town had brown stains on their teeth, which we now know as dental fluorosis. Surprisingly, these teeth were highly resistant to cavities. Dr. H.T. Dean, a public health dentist, carried this research forward in the 1930s and found that fluoride levels of about 1 part per million, ppm, could reduce cavities without causing serious staining. This discovery led to an experiment in 1945 in Grand Rapids, Michigan, where fluoride was added to the city's water supply. Now, over 15 years later, researchers tracked the teeth of children in the area and found a dramatic 60% reduction in cavities compared to neighboring towns. This was so successful that it inspired other cities and countries to adopt water fluoridation as a public health measure. So, why? What are the positives? We just talked about it a little bit. So why was fluoride added to the water? Let's look at the positives. First, effective in preventing cavities, as I mentioned earlier. Fluoride strengthens tooth enamel, making it more resistant to decay. Studies have constantly shown that communities with fluoridated water have lower rates of tooth decay compared to those without it. Cost effective. It's affordable, it's cheap. It's a cheap way to improve public dental health, especially for low-income communities where access to dental care may be limited. It's all-inclusive. Fluoridation benefits everyone, regardless of age or socioeconomic status. And also, it's endorsed by health organizations, groups like the WHO, the World Health Organization, the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, and the British Fluoridation Society support it as a safe and effective public health tool. Just to give you some more context, in countries like Ireland, where 73% of the population drinks fluoridated water, studies show significantly better dental health than its neighboring areas without fluoridation. So, if there's a positive, let's look at the negatives. It's not all positive, right? So we have to look at this. Health risk. While fluoride is safe at recommended levels, and it's important to say this, okay? I don't want to make anyone go crazy. While fluoride is safe at recommended levels, some studies suggest long-term exposure could lead to health issues like skeletal fluorosis, kidney damage, and in rare cases, a potential link to lower IQ in children. Yes, lower intelligence for children. However, these risks are mostly, and I must repeat this again, these risks are mostly associated with high levels of fluoride, far above what is used in fluoridated water. Overexposure. Fluoride isn't just in water. It's in toothpaste, it's in food, it's in drinks. This makes it hard to control how much fluoride an individual consumes, potentially leading to mild dental fluorosis, which causes, as I mentioned before, brown spots on teeth. Now, ethical concerns. Critics argue that adding fluoride to water removes personal choice. As everyone in a community is exposed regardless of their preference, this has been labeled by some as forced medication. A declining need. With widespread use of fluoride toothpaste and better dental care, some argue that water fluoridation is less necessary today than it was decades ago. Environmental concerns. Some people worry about the environmental impact of fluoridation chemicals on ecosystems. Though, I must say this, though research on this is limited. Let's talk about the rest of the world. The use of fluoride varies widely across the planet. Countries like the US, Australia, New Zealand have embraced water fluoridation as a way to improve public health. In Ireland, fluoridation is even required by law. In Spain, fluoridation is regional, meaning in different parts, not all, but different parts, focusing on areas like the Basque Country, Girona, and in Catalonia, parts of Murcia and Andalusia, including Seville and Cordoba. Cities like Victoria and San Sebastian have artificially fluoridated water, while natural fluoridation occurs in places like San Cristobal de la Laguna in Tenerife. However, most of Spain has relatively low fluoride levels, with 95% of cities having concentrations below 0.7 milligrams per liter. On the other hand, most Western Europe, including Germany, France, and Sweden, has opted not to use fluoridated water. Why? Well, there are some ethical concerns in these countries. Many Europeans value individual choice and oppose the idea of mandatory fluoridation. Alternative methods. Countries like Germany and Switzerland rely on fluoridated salt and toothpaste instead of water fluoridation. Low cavity rates, improved dental care, and healthier diets in many European countries have reduced tooth decay without the need for fluoridation. Globally, only 5% of the population drinks fluoridated water, and most of these people live in the US. Why is this a hot topic? Well, the controversy stems from a mix of scientific, ethical, and political issues. First, scientific uncertainty. While most studies support fluoridation, some research raises questions about long-term health effects, particularly in vulnerable populations like children and people with kidney issues. Ethics and consent. The idea of adding a chemical to public water supplies without individual consent remains a key concern for many. Public trust. In some places, skepticism toward government policies and health recommendations fuels opposition to fluoridation. Cultural differences. Some countries prioritize personal choice over public health measures, while others see fluoridation as a necessary tool to reduce health inequalities. Ultimately, the debate isn't just about science, it's about values, priorities, and trust in public health systems. 5 key takeaways. Fluoride strengthens teeth and helps reduce cavities, making it one of the top public health measures of the 20th century. Studies show water fluoridation reduces cavities by up to 60%, especially in areas with limited access to dental care. Critics argue that fluoride may pose health risks and raise ethical concerns about mandatory exposure. Countries like the US, Ireland, and parts of Spain use fluoridation, while most of Western Europe has rejected it in favor of alternatives like fluoridated salt and toothpaste. The debate over fluoride remains a mixed science, ethics, and public trust, reflecting broader cultural and policy differences around the world. So there you have it. A deep dive into the story of fluoride in tap water. Some see it as a public health triumph, while others see it as an unnecessary or even risky. What do you think? Should there be fluoride in our water? Or should we focus on other ways to protect dental health? Guys, thank you for listening. Share this with a friend. Subscribe if you haven't. I'm Mikel, and this is what I learned today. Bye.